Well, hello, welcome to another video.
Another one?
Everyone. Yeah, we're delighted to have with us this man. Halves.
Who didn't want to be in the film.
No, but now we can't get him out.
No, yes.
Yeah, but this time we're going to talk about PPE and kit. So we've talked, you would have seen a couple of weeks ago, whenever we've put out about bikes and about riding, but it's not all about that. It's about protecting yourself when you're on the bike, isn't it? So what do you wear? Now, the stuff that you've got is made by, who's this made by, Habs?
This is a company from Exmouth called BKS that make leathers and now textile suits for us. Other makes are obviously available. These are specific to us. They make them. They are made to order and they are made to fit.
And they're like $2.5, $3 grand a set, aren't they? They're expensive stuff.
Tell them that. Tell them that.
Well, they're out in it. They're out in it all the time.
They're quite expensive, aren't they?
People need to be protected when they're out and about, especially when they're doing it for a living, because they're out in all weathers, and you have to be manoeuvrable in that, don't you?
Yeah, it's very much around what we're doing it for a job. Like you say, we're out, could be 10, 12 hours in all winds and weathers, and you have to be prepared. And in the summer we can unzip the vents. It's nice and airy, and in the winter they do keep us dry.
So you guys are using this. We know some police forces are using Rucker, and also Stedler. You got Stedler on there.
Yeah, so I've got Stadler trousers on, Gurner boots. They're like 300 quid. The trousers are like 800 quid, but they are waterproof and they make my bum look really thin, which is great. They actually fit really well. They're like fitted,
Change the whole
not
type
made.
of a video now,
It's
mate.
great, isn't it? And this is like a Comfo R Rucker jacket. So this is like 500-600 quid. Lots of people buy Navala jackets, which have got the inserts, which are like 1,500 quid. But what we want to talk to you about is, yes, we've spent this money because we're out, me, Mark, you, we're out on the bike all the time, training different people, doing all the stuff that you do out on your bikes. So we can justify the cost of this stuff because we use it all the time. But if you're a new rider or getting back to riding or thinking a new kit, what sort of kit do you want to buy? All depends on what budget you got, doesn't it? Firstly.
Yeah. So one of the schemes we've just started down here in the southwest is trying to encourage bikers like ourselves that have got old kit that is sat around in the garages and the lofts, get that into charity shops, and then when I go into colleges and do some bits and pieces around safety work, is actually getting them to go to the charity shops and buy some kit for themselves, just so they've got something rather than nothing.
Yeah.
Having spent some time with the college boys and girls this week, they were saying that they can't afford to do buy a lot of the equipment. What I'd say is, if they don't want to not wear their own clothes because it's not cool. So what I've suggested is that they buy the armoured stuff that goes underneath their own clothing, so at least they've got some level of protection rather than nothing. And gloves is another one that.
How many times do you see people not wearing gloves?
Yeah.
Gloves, yeah, absolutely. So that's another thing. Is if you're going to buy a set of gloves, buy a good set of gloves that is going to protect you, because it's the first thing you do the dive.
Yeah, your hands go on the ground, don't they?
Hands come out. It's the first thing that makes contact with the tarmac. So.
Yeah. So different price points, a different kit. You were saying about your scheme in charity shops.
Yes.
We know a very good friend of ours who used to work with lots of people that we all work with that got a full Rucker suit for like 50 or 60 quid. And then he bargained them down and got it even cheaper. So there are deals to be had because of that scheme. And it means that other people can have stuff. But if you haven't got the biggest budget, there might be something coming our way right now that might be like this jacket. Really good, isn't it? It's like we've got paid staff, isn't it? So this is one of said bits of kit that was donated by a local group to us so that we could show you a few things a little bit later in the video. But this is a Thorogood jacket. It's for a rather bigger person than me because I'm quite suave and small, hence the small bum. But this sort of kit has to go through rigorous testing as well. So there is a AA and A rated, isn't there, which is the resistance of the material, about the abrasion and how long it lasts for you and protects you. But do you really need the best of the best of the best? So this suit is A rated. The AA is better, isn't it? The Navala's AA I think, or is that even A because it's so soft? The more money you spend, the better stuff you're going to get. But is that not better than not wearing anything? It's got your shoulder pads, your elbow pads, your back.
I always find it interesting in the summer when I see riders riding around, especially in our part of the world, with flip-flops and shorts and t-shirt on. That's a massive no-no from my perspective. You've got to wear something, even if you are just whipping down the shops. You're more likely to have a collision within 5 miles of your home address than you are going further afield. So if you do something, wear something, please, because you don't get a second chance to repair your leg or your arm.
And this might be a couple of £100 in the shop, but if you get it second-hand, Facebook Marketplace is a really good place. Those charity shops, second-hand, it not only gives you the weather protection and the protection of the abrasion stuff, but it also gives you the warmth as well. So it's not just a jacket just for riding, is it? You can use it for other things. But this has got vents on it, you can open it out, it's got pockets. But overall, it's about having something. And we always say, don't we, all the kit, all the time, no matter where you're going, like you were saying.
Cool. Do you get trousers with it?
I think they might. Oh, look at that. Yeah, so these are the trousers that come with it. Well, they're not the same make, but they came from the same, well, they are Forrigan, but they came from the same amnesty, if you like. People like to give away stuff. And the thing about the biking community is that we like to help each other. So if people are asked what have they got in their cupboard, we can all say that we've probably got a jacket there, trousers, helmet, gloves that we never ever wear. So let somebody else have it. Even if you're selling it for something, let somebody else benefit from it. And a suit like this probably is going to cost £200-300 brand new.
Yeah.
You'll get something cheaper, but have a look out for what you need. So what do we need in jackets and trousers? Ordinarily, what do we need to be wearing? We need something that's going to protect us here, don't we?
So if you think about the points of contact that when you fall off the motorcycle, it's first of all is your hands usually, because it's the first thing you put out. Knees, elbows, and shoulders. So yeah, and
shall we do that? What?
Head. So those points of contact that you're going to hit the road surface with is where you would need the more abrasion, obviously, protection. So yeah, definitely, if you can get some level of protection in those areas, that's a start for 10.
Yeah, and boots. Now you said about flip-flops, and it makes us shudder when you watch people, even on scooters, doing 20 miles an hour. You can get damaged really badly with not wearing anything at 20 miles an hour, can't you? Boots. You can get loads of boots. You can get small boots, you can get tall boots, you can get ones with heels if you like it. But this is a really pivotal point, isn't it? This ankle stops you falling over, helps you change gear and use the brake and stuff. So get something that covers your ankle, but also the back of your, I don't know what they call it, the back
Achilles
of your heel,
tendon.
your Achilles, because they're where you're going to get ripped off, isn't it? That's where some of the damage gets on. Oh, you get, even if you drop the bike, that's going to give you some protection, isn't it, on the weight of the bike?
Yeah.
And they're not expensive, are they? I mean, you can get some really good makes for not a lot of money.
Let's talk about abrasion and things like that, shall we? Because there'll be a blue jacket in a van somewhere.
Oh yeah, there might be.
That was a staff prompt.
Sacked!
Here it is, staff.
Blue jacket, right, tell us about this blue jacket then, Ian, because you take it around with you, don't you?
Yeah, this was donated to us by somebody that had fallen off the bike. This was at less than 30 mile an hour. So,
wow.
That will give you an idea of what we're talking about with abrasion, and that's low speed. They've put the hands down and it's caught the cuff. So that give you an idea of the pads inside are still intact. So just from a low speed, you can see what it does. But it's protected them.
Yeah.
They came out with very slight injuries, as opposed to if they were wearing nothing. I dread to think what would have happened.
Yeah, it's really quite scary, isn't it? But it just shows you, if you've got some kit, it's going to give you some protection. Doesn't mean it's going to save your life. Doesn't mean that it's going to save your body or save getting injuries, but it's like wearing a seatbelt, isn't it? Would you rather have a massive bruise over your chest through wearing it, or have a smashed head through going through the windscreen? Yeah. I'd rather have a bruise, and that's the same sort of analogy, isn't it, really? And then we've got some helmets, haven't we? No, I'm not going to get you to chuck the helmets because they will fly. So, you haven't got to break the bank, have you? I use a Scorpion ADX2 helmet. The ADX one's been discontinued. It's £190. But on the sharp ratings that the government do, some people don't like that rating because it only tests in certain ways, but this has, in some ways, got a better test rating than the Shoeis. So you haven't got to spend £700-800 on a helmet that's carbon and looks nice just to get better protection. You can spend a little bit less money, can't you?
Yeah, I do. When we're at events, I do have people say to me, well, the only thing legally that they have to wear is a helmet.
Yeah.
And whilst they are correct, you have to look at the bigger picture. If you end up in hospital for weeks on end, you're actually costing the NHS to keep you there. So you have a personal responsibility to wear the right stuff to stop you ending up in hospital for weeks on end. And the helmets, yeah, they are legal. You have to wear them on bikes, obviously. Pick the best one you can afford at the time. There's no price to be put on your head.
Baz Luhrmann wrote a song, didn't he, in the 90s called Sunscreen. Yeah. And the stuff in there is amazing. It's like, look after your knees, you'll miss them when they're gone. Well, that's obvious because you can't walk. But he says about this being the best instrument or the greatest instrument you'll ever own as a human, and it's controlled by here, isn't it? If this doesn't work, nothing else does. So whatever your budget is, this should be where you put your money, isn't it? However, you can get good helmets for 50-60 quid that will get you started, that have got some protection, but just be wary of buying stuff off marketplace or in charity shops, because every 5 years we kind of recommend, don't we, or the industry recommends you change them, because the light changes the way that the plastic behaves, doesn't it? It degrades it a little bit, doesn't give you the same protection. And some of the helmets, some of the cheaper helmets, they'll use the same carcass and fill the stuff in there to make it smaller or larger, so they'll give bigger cheek pads or smaller ones depending on the size. And go and try one on in a shop first. If you buy one off the internet and you get it, like Shoeis are more round, aren't they? Shoebursts are more, they do different styles because you've got oval heads, you've got round heads. You need to make sure it fits, it doesn't give you a headache. And I think we did a video about how
it's dangerous to buy it off a website if you haven't actually tried it on previously in a shop or something like that.
And second-hand helmets as well. You don't know the history of that helmet.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you're going to buy new of anything, buy a new helmet.
Yeah.
And things like this are quite important. Nice next to kin things.
Yeah, and they're really inexpensive. You can get ones with QR codes. We've done videos on them, and it all goes to help these people whether it's your fault or somebody else's fault, when you're lying and you need help, they can get information about who you are, who your next of kin is, and it takes all the worry about sorting that out for you.
And doing it on your telephone as well, putting it on your phones.
Yeah.
We've run a scheme now with our medical partners. It's called Green Dot.
Yeah.
And if you see us at shows or events, just ask us for one. It's a card that you fill out, 2 cards, one goes in your wallet, one goes in the liner of your helmet, and that's got all your medical details next to kin, any allergies, of course, and any medical details that you may need to pass over. It just means that when somebody gets to you, they see a green dot on the side of your helmet, we know for a starter for 10 we've got your details and who to get hold of in an emergency.
Yeah, and that's really important, isn't it? Because that could mean life or death, couldn't it? And the other thing about helmets is you can get different ones, full face, open face, get ones like these, but you shouldn't be riding with them up all the time.
No, that is something we see a lot of. If you've got a chin guard, it's there for a reason. Put it down, it will save your chin. If you're riding along at whatever speed and you fall off, it then becomes an open face. And I know there will be people on your channel that will probably tell me you can do it. What I'm saying is, yes, you can do it, but ultimately it's putting your face at risk. And if you'd rather not replace your face, put your chin guard down. It's quite simple. It's there to save you.
And that's the difference between what the law says and what you should be thinking about, isn't it? Because the law's a bit of an arse, isn't it? They're very logical. If you don't do this, you're in the wrong. If you do this, you're not in the wrong. And very often points of law are discussed in court that don't really make much sense to the general public in terms of what's happened, do they? So when you're talking about a helmet, you can ride with it up, especially now if you've got the lockable bit, because you need it to be in a lockable position, don't you? You can't ride with it up so it doesn't flop down and get in your view. But like you were saying, Harves, It's not about the law. Yes, you've complied with it, but what if you come off? Your chin's on the ground. That's what that's for, to protect it, isn't it? Just be sensible. So it just means that you haven't got to spend a massive amount of money on kit. And there's always forums and groups and stuff on Facebook and online that you can ask advice from people and see if people are selling stuff. Go and look and get some decent stuff.
We're going to do a demonstration now, are we?
Yes, I think what we might do is we might use one of the vehicles that we've got here and put a sandbag or something in one of these jackets and see what it does after going along the road at, say, 120 miles an hour. Can your van do that?
I'm not offering to throw myself out of the 120 miles an hour.
So we'll probably do, what, 20, 30 miles an hour, and we'll just run that along the ground and just see what sort of abrasion that really cheap suit has got.
Yep.
We're not knocking people if you do wear that suit. It's cheaper than these things, but just showing you the sort of abrasion resistance that something that you think is really cheap might still give you in the protection. And then I think we've got an old helmet, haven't we? Okay. We're going to chuck that out and see what protection that gives you as well. Oh, we've got to have our third member of our channel in.
Fucking have got a whole crew now, mate.
I know.
Billy Nomex sat down there.
Get makeup.
Billy Nomex sat down there going, fuck, I've driven 100 miles.
Before I do this.
So we dragged this at 30 miles an hour. It wasn't for a huge amount of distance, but we're not talking about distance, but that distance is long enough for you being chucked off at 30 miles an hour to then come to a stop, isn't it?
Think so. So, we have to accept that this is the jacket that Harves was showing before that somebody had been on 30 miles an hour, but straight away you can see the abrasion on the shoulders there. Now this is an old jacket, you know, so it's not... It's still held up. There's a little bit of rubbing there, and on the arm, you can see it's rubbed on the arm a bit as well. Yeah. So,
and it's ripped the side's ripped right across. Now the thing that we can't replicate is having a body in there that shows how things are going to go down. But we might get an angle grinder or a sander or something and do at a later date.
Yeah.
But it just shows that even at 30 miles an hour, not having that equipment on, that's not going to be a ripped jacket, that's going to be ripped skin, isn't it? Broken bones, exposed bone, degloved hands and stuff.
So it works. It proves the point. If you're not wearing that kind of stuff, you're just wearing a t-shirt, you're going to be in a world of pain. Yeah. So on with the trial. On with the trial.
On with the trial. Helmet time, I think.
Here we go then. So the second part of our amazing experiment.
Yeah.
There's a helmet filled with a sandbag. Got up to 30 miles an hour.
30 miles an hour.
30 miles an hour.
And look at that.
Dropped it as if you were rolling perhaps on a bike, and that was for what, 3 or 4 seconds?
Yeah, it wasn't very much at all. And that was the lightest of drags. That wasn't with the full weight, was it?
No.
Feel it was
we just held it and then we dropped it and then it rolled away. So you need to wear helmets, fellas.
Yeah.
So there we go. Marks on the visor. Our non-scientific experiment has proved how vital a helmet is, I think.
Yeah. I won't be chucking this one down the road anytime soon. But it does show that you should be wearing decent kit and above all a decent helmet. It's quite scary really, just those few seconds.
Yeah.
Give it 10, 15 seconds, you think about going at 60, 70 miles an hour, you're going to be sliding down the road perhaps for 10, 20 seconds. That's going to go right through, isn't it?
10, 15 seconds. Anyway, so...
Well, I suppose if that does happen, at least you could put your coffee top on the flat bit.
There you go. Happy with that?
Yeah.
So,
if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. Go out and buy your kit. Check out Bike Safe, Streets Ahead. And Rosper and IAM, all the advanced stuff, and all the things we've talked about, these things as well.
Cool.
Yeah. See you in the next video.